Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. Today I'm back at the mines again. What can I say? I yearned for them. We're not going to go into the mine though. We are going to transport the coal away from the mine. And I'm once again going to be using my Atlas dump and Linky trailer combination. But this time around, it has some stripes. That's all that it ever needed. It's gonna be so much better than ever before. The stripes are what makes and breaks the build. I mean, maybe also the optimization that I did to it in order to do this without any help, hopefully. Which is still very hard and not necessarily recommendable because it's very painful to get used to how you do it, but once you get it, it's kind of fun. It's weird. Yeah, I had a bit of a chat with North Hopper from the Motortown Discord, and he gave me a few good points on how to improve the build. And all of this made me realize one thing when it comes to specifically the coal haulage. I always thought you were supposed to try optimize your build so that it can just make make it over the hills, up the slopes, through its own power. That doesn't work. That just doesn't work here. Might still be how you do the thing for the iron ore and that kind of stuff, but for the coal, it's all about momentum. Of course, you still need to be able to downshift at some point and follow through, but without the right amount of initial momentum, you are completely lost. So yeah, I tried to optimize my build in accordance to that. Took a few things from North Hopper's build, and I'll be linking the stuff in the description, just to give proper credit where credit is due. But yeah, in the end, I still kept my 6-speed manual. I still prefer it over the 13 or 18 speed gearboxes, so yeah, it can work. It's hard work. And to be clear, it's not just about the build. The build isn't just going to do it for you. You need to know how to drive it, which kind of assists to have on, in which case for me it's yeah, basically nothing. I don't know why this is on, this doesn't really need to be on. Except for auto throttle blip, I don't know what that's for, or whatever. And yeah, I'm definitely using the anti-stall clutch, but most of the other stuff is off. So we are fully loaded up, 27 out of 27 units. So let's go. So one of the most obvious choices here that's different from the first one, I'm using a D2 Linky. The reason for that is simple. The other one was a bit too bouncy no matter what I did with the suspension. My theory, and why I'm using this one, is if the entire road is bumpy and there's a dip that goes from one side of the road to the other, a single axle Linky will always go into that dip and then jump out the other side again, and that's really annoying to deal with. While this one, by means of having another axle, the rear axle should keep the front axle up through the dip and vice versa. So hopefully this is gonna smooth out the ride a little bit. I only got the idea to use this Linky from North Hopper because I tried the S2 Linky, so the single wheel double axle Linky, and that one is a bit longer, doesn't work with this trailer at all, but since the American version is a bit shorter overall, it seems to work fine. So I'm still getting my maneuverability, and that's all neat. But yeah, we're gonna see how this one goes now. Few other changes of note. I replaced the heavy rims with lighter ones because they are just that weight at the end of the day, so they don't really do much for me. I also switched out the stock turbo for a stage 1. I always thought that on off-roading I'm not consistently enough in the high RPM range in order to make good use of the additional power from the stage 1, but for this one it actually helps out quite a bit. And I also made sure to change the gear ratio a bit so that everything is a bit lower now. It kind of affects my top speed in a negative way, but now I can approach a lot of the slopes in third gear and then downshift into first, and that's working out pretty well for me. If I'm ever getting stuck on the slope itself, chances are I'm kind of done for. I need to roll back down and try again, but it should be good overall. So let's talk about the tactic for the next one before we approach it. So the main problem is in the top right corner, that slope up there. I need to be in high range of the third gear in order to get over that. So I'm going to accelerate, get into second gear, and most likely gonna be a bit bogged down before I hit the bridge due to the slope that is straight up ahead over here. But from that point on, I need to go into third gear, make it up around halfway, and then downshift into first real quick in order to apply more power before the entire thing bogs down into low RPM range. And that should be able to carry me over the hill and to the top, where we can finally even get to the coal, or to the iron mine, I mean. So let's do it, let's try. A few things might need multiple attempts because this is still... there isn't too much headroom for the entire thing. But yeah, if you knew how many attempts I had on this, being able to say that this can make it at all is already quite nice. Okay, we seem to be doing it. I had my doubts. I was hoping for a bit more speed on the run-up, but this still worked out pretty well. I mean, after all, we did it in the first attempt. So here we are. Nothing to do up here anyways, so it doesn't matter. But this is a good first hurdle to have taken. Now on to one of the more technical ones down here. I always like to approach this from the outside because that sets me up pretty well to cut in on the left hand corner and hopefully go through this entire path down there with as much speed as I can. On the other side, yeah, we have a rather steep right hand turn there. So I'm not gonna try to follow the turn at all. I'm just gonna aim for the grass between the rock and the mud road, and then trying to slightly bank off the left and make the turn that way. It's not the toughest one in this, but I need to hit it at a pretty good angle in order to be able to do this. So the goal is third gear again, and the downhill immediately helps me getting there. And just keep it straight, go up and downshift to keep the momentum. And here we are, on the other side. Honestly, that stupid light fixture there is still annoying. If I do this correctly, I can get onto the right hand side of it, but right now I'm just happy if I can make it past there at all, so I'm just gonna stick to the left. It's a bit dodgy with the angle I'm taking, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm past it, so I'm good. Okay, next one. Going down here, no problem at all, but the next uphill is going to be likely the toughest one of the whole bunch. And the one that still has me fail quite often. In addition to that, resetting here is particularly painful. So I hope I can make this first try. I'm not too confident though. Actually, I started recording this earlier today, and this is where I stopped, because after 4 attempts with painfully slow attempts, I tried to get back into this area to reset and do another run up. I just gave up on it. Of course, on the attempt right after stopping recording, it immediately worked, so there's that. But yeah, here we go. I'm trying to get this all the way down there up towards the cliff and just make the most of my run up that I can. It's not perfect, but should be enough. So, goal once again, get into third gear, get to around 40 kilometers by the end, and find the right upshift point or downshift point up on the slope so that I can just continuously put down the power without too much of a downtime. Double downshift into first and hopefully pull through until I get to the top of it. If I lose momentum, that's the end of the attempt. Okay, downshift pretty early, we are still moving, and yeah, the truck is on the plateau and therefore we can pull up the rest. Whew. Again, I'll be linking not only North Hopper stuff, but also my own build number in the description. I cannot necessarily recommend this because this is gonna be painful to learn. But yeah, once you get there, it's actually pretty fun, just the run up to it. That's a steep learning curve. With a lot of resets, a lot of pain, and ultimately you are likely better off just doing the call using only the Atlas. At least until you can optimize it to the point where you can do this all first attempt and then you're good to go, but it's tough. I just managed to do it, but only after a first attempt at making the entire video and aborting at that point. It's... don't think it's that easy. Okay, here we go. This one isn't even too hard. I had a few tasks that got stuck over here, but this one, it's fine. So I'm just gonna be trying to not tip over or anything, and we should be good here. Okay, let's be careful. I've seen some people shortcutting to the left here. I mean, yeah, it saves a few meters, but these are really not important meters that you want to save. If it could save me going up another one of those steeper slopes, then yeah, for sure, but this one? I don't really care. Not worth it in my eyes. And I still haven't figured out how to do any smooth run like this using the iron ore. I think I might just skip on that, and if I need to go back to that, I'll just go with the Limusi Semi, which is still my preferred vehicle for that one. But yeah, doing that with the Atlas has always been just pain and misery. Never managed to get out of Granglin with that. I know that there are builds on YouTube, I know some people have made some guides and all of that, but in the end it's a mix. in order to succeed, you need a mix between the right driving style, the right build, and also, once again, the assists. So, yeah, only knowing the build number isn't really going to get me anywhere. And I'm tired of trying. So I might just stick to the stuff that I find fun, that I have success with, and maybe I'll come back to the iron ore, maybe not. But I don't see a reason to force that to happen. I think just by being able to do this with a 6-speed transmission, that's already kind of a win in my book. Also, fun fact, I recently did some calculations to compare the two 6-speed truck transmissions, the regular one and the MK1. Turns out they are pretty much the same. I just had to apply a factor to all of the gears of the MK1, of the Mark 1 I mean, and that basically brings them exactly into the same range as the gears on the other one. So yeah, just to get the, I don't know which one I did, the first or the 6th gear, just one of them to match the others, and then use the same factor to multiply with everything else. It's basically the same as equipping one of them and changing the final drive ratio until you get the same top speed as with the other. Same exact thing happening there, and yeah, I think apart from maybe 2 gears being within 0.1 difference of ratio, it's the same. So maybe one was 5.28 and the other one was 5.38. That was about the biggest difference between the gears that I saw there. So nothing too crazy. And the overall spread between the gears, if you want to go from 1 to the 6th gear, it's gonna give you the exact same thing. So they are really almost identical. Would be nice if one of them had maybe a higher spread between gears, so that if you go for the same top speed, maybe your first gear would be much lower than the other, and that might be useful for something like this. But they turn out to be functionally the same, so it doesn't even matter which one you use. The main difference is if you use, I don't know which one it was. Depending on which one you use, you're gonna have a different final drive ratio, but that's going to basically equalize everything again. Except for maybe the reverse gear, because that's something that I didn't calculate. I didn't save my calculations, I just made a screenshot of them and that was good enough for me. But I forgot to put in the reverse gears, so that might be different. But it shouldn't be too different, so doesn't really matter that much. And for those wondering, the factor between the two to make them equal is 1.28. Apply that to the gear ratios of the MK1 and you get basically the regular one. Simple as that. Okay, this is something where I should just be pulling up. Yeah, no problem, just a bit of continuous pull and we should be good here. I still remember how painfully steep this used to be when basically the road came straight down here instead of doing the little dance around. They've evened out a few areas like that, including the upcoming slope, because that used to be another killer. It's still gonna be not that easy, so I'm gonna have to focus and make for good momentum going up there. But that used to be the toughest of them all, and that's not the case anymore. Yeah, pretty easy by now in this build. And I think with that, that's the end of the challenge really. There's still a bit of stuff to go, but it's really more maneuvering through a few turns and all that, but really nothing to write home about. So let's just quickly get that over with, and then we are done with the challenge run. Imagine that, me making a... Oh, Jesus Christ, brakes! Me making a video like this with a super challenging run and it being below average length, because everything just went smoothly. Maybe I should have messed up that one hill a few times just to show you guys how painful that can be. But at this point I'm still happy enough that I managed to do it at all, so I'm not gonna reset my progress for a demonstration that might go horribly wrong. If I'm then not able to do it again. But yeah, overall, this is working pretty well, and I enjoy it, just because, once again, I don't have to double shift up through so many gears. For me, the 13-speed transmissions are really overkill. Ideally, I would like to have a 6-speed with another low gear attached to it, maybe 2, I don't know. But I think the closest one to that has 10 gears in total, plus reverse. So, I don't know, would still prefer it over 13-speed, but I don't need all that many. Oh yeah, I forgot, I still have to do the little unloading dance. So let's see if my maneuvering has improved on that front as well. Yeah, that's not going well. I'm trying to go for more subtle movements, but it's not really happening. Okay, that's where I want the dolly to face. A bit too far. The problem is really trying to get it to go where you want it to in a subtle way, but also being able to then correct it the other direction once you need to. Okay, here we go. Unload the trailer. Ka-ching. And then just remove the dolly. I don't even need to use the landing gear here, because, yeah, 2 axle dollies are just gonna stand on their own. So that's also pretty nice. Really, the landing gear would only be important if that thing had a hinged drawbar, so that it could move up and down independently of the rest. But sadly, all of these are rigid, so it doesn't really work like that. Also, you know what? I wanna test something real quick since we are here already. I wanna see if the combined payout from going from the mine to this place and then from here to Dasa, how that compares to taking the trip all in one. Gonna turn that off. always find these things irritating. So let's see, over here, this would be to DASA 19k at 185 or 184%. So that's 19k per unit. If I go up here, okay, we are about the same here in terms of the bonus. So that would be 11k. That would be around 40. Oh no, 30. Wait a second. That doesn't look right. So this is 47k. This is 11k. So that's did I look at the wrong one a moment ago? I mean, I accept that there can be a difference, but if going to DASA directly is that much more profitable, then why should I ever be using this one? Now this is just 19k, the other one is only 10k. Yeah, let's calculate for this one. This should, although no, the values up there are higher, so I need to go with this one. So 19k plus the 11k, that's around 30. And 47k if you do the same trip but without the stop. Why? I mean, realistically, it does make some sense, because if this was a real place, then you would have to pay for keeping the stuff in the facility, because that's gonna require somebody to take care of it, and that's gonna be expensive. But as it is right now, this is just... You make about 50% more by not using the storage as an in-between stop. That's kind of weird. Anyways, I was looking for answers. I got the answer. Just because I don't like them doesn't mean that we need to ponder over this for God knows how long. So yeah, there you have it. If you were curious, just like me, do the trip directly. It's worth it much more. Same with the other one. That was 10k down there, so that would be 21k here in combination with the first trip, and going directly is just 50% more money for you. Good to know. Not happy about it. With that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a good one, and bye bye.